Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te Korimako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, he has dedicated his career to growing sport and integrity in Aotearoa, from his early days playing sport as a kid to working with New Zealand Rugby League, cricket, and now leading community engagement at Sport Integrity Commission New Zealand. He has a wealth of experience and insights to share. So let's dive into his journey and learn what drives his passion for sport and community. No mai, hara mai, Andrew Tara. Kia ora, my bro. How are we?
Kia ora, my bro. Kei te ora, brother. Kei te ora.
Good to see you, brother. And I've been looking forward to catching up with you. It's been a little while, so good to see you again and have a kōrero. But hey, before we get started, ko wai koe, no he koe, just a little bit about yourself and where you grew up and whatnot.
Tēnā koe, brother. Tēnā tātou, ako, he uri tēnei no te moana nui a kiwa, no ngā mautere te kaumārima o ku tupuna, I tipu ake au ki konei ki te tauni nui nei ki Tamaki Makaurau, e noho ana au ki Tamaki ki te Tonga, i nāia nei ki te Piriti o Māngere, no reira tēnā tātou.
Kia ora, my bro. Awesome. So, hey, if we go back right to the start, bro, right back to the start, what sports did you play growing up as a young fella, and who were your biggest influences, when you were a young tamariki coming through sports?
Had a typical 90s upbringing, bro. Cul-de-sac, grew up in a cul-de-sac and heaps of neighborhood kids, and played everything, bro. We played everything. League, rugby, touch, even played netball, bro. Cricket, softball, just any sport that was on. Just played it. Grew up in a little, well, it's not really little, but a suburb in the central Auckland suburb of Point Chev, bro, and played league for the Pirates as well. And during my early days, we had a lot of, I guess, guys that went on to play for the Warriors, guys like Stacey Jones and Arwen Goodenbeal, kind of playing through the club. So they were massive influences for us kids growing up, bro. So kind of looked up to those two, really. And then when the Wars were just starting out, we all kind of, got them behind them. And it was awesome to see them come back to the club back in 2010 as well. So I was still there too. So, pretty cool.
Beautiful. You mentioned Point Chev, a famous club there in Auckland. So much history and amazing teams over the years. But like, when did rugby league first come into your life? Like, was it at Point Chev, and what drew you to the game?
Probably mum, bro. Mum was my first coach. Coached all of us young boys and girls growing up. And just because we were, playing at school, playing on the street, everyone just kind of gravitated to play for the Pirates, bro. And I played right up until my mid-30s. Wasn't any good at it, but tried to. And then, that probably led me to a little bit of where I kind of landed in terms of sport admin mahi as well, bro.
Wow, I'm sure there's something you're pretty good at, because you're doing pretty well in that space, and that's administration and sports. So was there a moment where you realized you wanted to kind of work behind the scenes in sport rather than, just be out there playing?
Probably towards the end of my school years, bro, in my early adult years. I kind of knew I probably wasn't going to make it as an athlete at that top level, but I'd always kind of been fascinated, I guess, by what sits behind sport. I guess the leadership, the organizing, the environments that help athletes thrive. So I went to AUT and studied sport management. And then that kind of confirmed for me, that was what I was keen to do, and to help people and building pathways and shaping environments. So that's kind of where things kind of stemmed.
Awesome. Well, you obviously moved on. You worked with New Zealand Rugby League earlier in your career. And what were some of your key responsibilities with New Zealand Rugby League, and what did you learn from working, with New Zealand Rugby League in those roles?
Bro, I was really fortunate, Like I landed there, I got an internship my final year at uni, and it was 2011. And I got an opportunity to work with the Kiwis. So I went from watching some of my idols playing NRL week to week to actually being in camp with them. And I think that was probably the moment where I was like, it's probably where I should be. So, I spent 3 weeks with the Kiwis. And yeah, that was just massive and really helped shape me as I kind of looked towards what was next.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, make sure to stay tuned, Barno, because we're going to be back to speak to Andrew soon about some other sports he's got into with his awesome credentials. So make sure to stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Kia ora koutou wānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Korimako o Taranaki 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. We're here with Andrew Tara, having an awesome kōrero about his journey through sports. Now, we spoke before about New Zealand Rugby League, but you jumped into a summer code and you later moved into cricket and broader sport development roles. What motivated that shift, and how did those experiences kind of shape your approach in sports?
Cricket came at a time when I was looking for a new challenge, bro. And there was an opportunity to create visibility for Māori to play cricket. And I guess my kind of purpose kind of gravitated towards that kind of inclusion space. And in particular, giving a platform for Māori to be seen in spaces where we typically aren't seen, bro. So that's kind of always been my driver. And I remember early on getting asked the question, why don't Māori play cricket, by someone? And I asked them the same question back. I said, well, you tell me. And things just kind of stemmed from there, and worked quite closely with a lot of the districts across the country to grow Māori participation in cricket.
Beautiful. Well, I know we had Kerry Tomlinson on the show recently, who's moved down to Taranaki with the Central Hinds, I think it is. She spoke very highly of you. But what were some of the things that you think you got out of your time with Māori cricket? Like what kind of growth did you see in terms of that connection piece for our Māori cricketers?
Oh, it probably became apparent quite early on, bro, that it wasn't predominantly all about the playing of cricket. A lot of them, it was about the connection and reconnection to who they are as Māori. A lot of them hadn't had that opportunity to connect with their Māoritanga. And I recall trying to create these environments that I had been experienced in league environments, but they didn't work in the cricket space. So it actually became more and more about learning about their whakapapa, connecting to who they are, learning their reo, connecting to all of these, I guess, central Māori concepts that kind of make Māori who they are. It probably became the primary driver of those tournaments. And then the cricket was just the vehicle for those. And yeah, it just grew. We went from one Māori team to 30 teams in about 3 years. Played over 350 cricket games over that span of 3 years, and it's just continued to grow. So yeah, really, really proud of that, mate.
Awesome, yeah, and so you should be. I remember actually seeing the growth in Māori cricket over that time, and it's kudos to you and your team for the awesome mahi that you have done. Now, tell us about your current role. So what does participation and community engagement mean in practice for the sport? Is it Sporting Integrity Commission?
Yeah. So yeah, we're a new independent Crown entity, and my role as the participant and community engagement manager, I guess, is to ensure the voices of participants, in particular Māori, Pacific, rangatahi, athletes, whānau, coaches, I guess, shape how we design and how we protect and uplift the system. And it's how people experience sport, you know, everyone feeling safe, free from harm, discrimination, I mean, everyone's treated fairly. So, yeah, it's a awesome role. I get to be out there talking to our whānau and ensuring that their voices help shape our mahi.
Beautiful. Such an important role. Now, obviously, you know, as much as we love sport, sport has its challenges. And from your perspective, what are the biggest challenges facing sport in Aotearoa right now, especially around integrity and participation?
Probably participation, bro, is I guess trying to keep rangatahi engaged in sport is really different. Like I spoke about earlier, growing up in the 90s and having lots of options to play sport, but there are so many, there's like a multitude of different things that they're engaged with. So I think the challenge is to keep our rangatahi engaged in sport for as long as we can. And playing all sports, like I mentioned, I played cricket, league, athletics, softball, volleyball, you know, everything that I could. I think if we can continue to offer those opportunities, I think that'll go a long way.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Now, some learnings for you. You've had an awesome journey, awesome career thus far. Looking back across your journey, what are some key lessons you've learned about leadership and community in sport?
Relationships, bro, really, really crucial. And I guess really understanding my why and my purpose. And, you know, leadership isn't always about being the loudest voice. I guess it's about creating space where others feel seen. And then you're having that purpose that kind of guides how I show up in my mahi.
Awesome, awesome. Good bit of advice there, whānau. Now, what's next for you, you know, and for sport in Aotearoa? Like, where do you see the biggest opportunities of growth within sports?
I think there's an opportunity for everyone, no matter their background, identity, to, I guess, feel safe and welcome in sport. I'd love to see a system built on partnership with Māori, I think as kind of the cornerstone. We've seen it through lots of high performance environments, and I think organizations are really starting to tap into that actually that's our superpower, and a system that is safe and fair and everyone's treated equally, bro, I guess is kind of what I'd like to see, and sport really, you know, being a really key motivator for tamariki, rangatahi and whānau here in Aotearoa.
Beautiful. Totally agree. Sports is so much more than just sports itself, isn't it? It's about bringing our people together and celebrating one another and mateship and teamwork and whatnot. So, Andrew, thanks for sharing your story and insights with us on the show. It's inspiring to hear how your journey from grassroots, you know, from the cul-de-sac in Point Chev through the national leadership roles, you know, which has been driven by your commitment and integrity within the community. So we wish you all the best on your journey ahead, and look forward to tapping in and see what's next for you and your journey ahead. So thanks again for coming on the show.
Tēnā koe, brother. Tēnā tātou.